First of all, like always, I want to thank you guys for coming out and covering Penn State football. Also want to thank the fans that showed up here tonight and supported us. That was really pretty cool to see. I guess a couple things that jump out to me right away. Just a gutsy win on the road against a team that's really trending in a real positive direction. Tough environment to play in. Just a gutsy win. You lose your starting quarterback, you lose your starting DN, you lose your starting offensive tackle. Next man up, no excuses. I just thought it was a gutsy culture win from my perspective. I also thought it was, you look at Beau Pribula and a ton of guys, right? To me, the other thing that stood out to me is an unselfish team and unselfish players. Here's Beau Pribula in a quarterback battle, waiting for his number to be called, and when his number's called, is able to capitalize and take advantage of it. I did think the offensive coaches did a really good job of changing how we had to call the game once he went in to play to his strengths. And obviously, Jay Reed's interception was a game-changing play. But just proud of our guys. I think sometimes we're too close to it as coaches and fans. And I know we want all the wins to be pretty. That was one of the prettiest and ugliest wins we've had. But that's if you really watch college football and just don't study Penn State, you're going to have to find different ways to win games throughout a season, and our guys were able to do that today. So very proud of them. You look at the takeaway, the turnover battle, we tied there. The explosive play battle, we won that. The third down battle, we won that. Sack battle, we did not. Starting field position, that was the difference in the game, especially early on. That's why it was so challenging. I think their punter is really good, and they were playing field position in the beginning of the game, and we just kept starting deep out of our own territory, and they were starting in good field position. That was the story early in the game, in my mind. So just proud of our guys. But those are probably the significant stats that kind of jump out to you. Khalil Dinkins continues to make plays when he gets opportunities. That was cool. And then our defense, not only are they playing really well, but then specifically third quarter defense continues to be just a tremendous strength. So just proud of our guys, and open it up to questions.
Neil and then Pickle.
Let me say one more thing I forgot to say. We knew going into this game, the two most important stats outside of the ones that we talk about all the time, which is obviously explosive plays and turnovers. The two most important stats in this game was winning the rushing battle and winning the third down battle, and we were not in the first half. And in the second half, that swung, and that's when the game really changed. But if you study Wisconsin, that was a critical stat in the game, and we were able to do some things in the second half to swing that in our favor and take over the game.
Neil the Pickle.
James, was it kind of precautionary with Drew? Could he have gone back in if needed?
Yeah, as you know, and I know you got to ask the question, but I'm not going to get into a whole lot of medical stuff right now, especially when I don't have a whole lot of information. But I wouldn't necessarily describe it that way. It was. Is he going to be mobile enough to give us a chance to run the offense the way we need to run the offense? And it really came down to Drew once he came out. I felt bad because the woman asked me from TV, and I told her Drew was going and Nittany wasn't. And then after we got out there and they got loosened up, Drew told me he couldn't go, and then Nittany wasn't able to go. So it actually turned out to be the opposite of what I told her. But no, I asked him to be very, very honest with me, and he just didn't feel like he was going to be able to move well enough to go. And even like at the end of the half there, you saw, even throwing, was challenging.
Pickle and then Brennan.
Coach, when you realized you had to go to Beau, what was your message to him, and how impressed were you with the way he played in the second half, especially I think he was 11 for 13.
Yeah, I have a ton of confidence in Beau. He's a character kid from a character family. He's very talented. Some of his talents are different than what Drew's are, so I think that's one of the things I think it's really important as a staff and as an offensive coordinator. You gotta be committed to call the game differently. And that's easier said than done, right? And we have enough diversity within our offensive scheme to play to strengths. And that's the stuff that I try to do is as a reminder. Andy obviously is an experienced coordinator, but remind him we gotta call the game now based on Beau's strengths, and I thought we did that. Beau is a character kid, character family. Comes from a great high school program. He's universally respected in our locker room from his teammates and coaches. Not surprised one bit. Not surprised one bit that he was able to manufacture yards and points for us when we needed it most.
Brendan and Max.
James, to follow up, I know you're not surprised, but what does it mean in Beau's development to go out and perform the way he did in a competitive game? Confidence is one thing, but seeing him do it is.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. He's played some significant time in the past, which I think is obviously always really valuable. But in this type of environment on the road, where I think at the point we were losing, those things are significant. They're significant for his development. I think they're significant for our team's development. You talk about college football and the amount of games that we're playing now, depth across the board at every position is really important. So not only did we expand the college football schedule, but then we're also doing it in the transfer portal era. So those two things really conflict each other. They go against each other, if that's the right way to say it. So that development of your roster and having character guys like that is more important than it's ever been, and I think it's more challenging than it's ever been.
Max and Sauber.
James, right here. Drew, after he went out, was right next to Danny the whole time. Looked like he was helping Beau on the iPads as well. I know he was early to that celebration on the kick six. What was his presence like on the sideline, despite not being in the game?
Talking about Drew?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing. Again, that goes back to that unselfishness, right? Like Drew, you're a leader for us, and although you're not having the role that you imagined having, we need you. And how you carry yourself, how you conduct yourself, how you interact with your teammates, how you help Beau, all that is going to be critical. We're not going to be able to do this without you. So, really, really cool to see. But that was something we discussed in the locker room even before going out.
Sauber, then Andrew.
James, how do you feel like Beau's running ability opened things up for Patron and Nick in the second half too?
Yeah, we've talked about that in the past, right? Like end of games last year where Beau would go in and a lot of people would be talking about how the running game, even inside zone, would open up a little bit more. I just think his threat, although Drew's doing a really nice job of it, his threat is different on the backside. And it forces the defense in the running game to defend the entire field. And it opens up seams. A lot of times it's even just playing without the ball. You come off that fake and you burst out of it, and that holds the DN, and that holds the outside linebacker, and that holds the backside safety, and it creates opportunities for bigger runs.
Two more. We'll go Clay, then Todd.
Coach, Jay Reed's pick six, offense played a lot better after that pick six. Do you feel the lead it gave you guys maybe a little bit of comfort with trying to get that offense in the rhythm?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I thought you were going to say we should play him on offense.
You could.
I'm not sure about that. I mean, I think the point you're making is momentum, and I don't know if it necessarily was the lead. I would say it's probably more momentum. Momentum is a real thing, and I think that was a big play in the game to swing the momentum. And I think from that point on, we were really able to take control of the game, specifically on offense and defense.
Last question, Todd.
Coach, I want to ask you about Nick and his receiving ability out of the backfield. He scored a big touchdown against USC, obviously in overtime, and then the first one tonight, a great catch. When their teams are trying to take away Tyler, how big a weapon is Nick out of the backfield? Creates these matchup issues.
Yeah, it's probably the area he's improved the most. It's probably the area he's improved the most in his time at Penn State is as a receiver. I mean, that was a one-handed catch, a tough catch, and he's a matchup problem. If people are going to play man coverage and you got him matched up on a linebacker, that's going to be challenging. So I think we can use him in that role even more and continue to expand on it. But that's big for us, and that's big for Nick and his development as well.
Thank you, Coach.
So I would like to cover, right? I'd like to, end this thing by covering Wednesday. First thing I'd like to say is I want to apologize. I didn't do a great job of handling Wednesday. Difficult situation. And I got to own that I did not do a good job of that. So I understand you guys got a job to do. You got to ask those questions, and I respect that. The university had put out a statement, and the reality is, I think there's not a whole lot more I can say other than that statement. It's an ongoing legal situation, and it's challenging. It's challenging on everybody. So at the end of the day, I did not do a good job of handling that situation and representing this program the right way. So I wanted to take a minute and apologize for that and understand you guys got a job to do. So I didn't do a good job there. I'm trying to get better like everybody else in a difficult situation. And I think that is a big reason for all of this, right? It's a difficult situation, a challenging situation. So I apologize.
Thank you, Coach.